I'm sure you've heard me say that opens are the biggest public showing of how great you are. So in this particular insight, we're going to double click on that and look at how we can create outstanding opens. Obviously what we do before in setting them up, what we do at the open, and importantly the follow-up. And what I look at is if we look at the overall success of your opens, 30% of it is the preparation, 40% is what happens at the open, and 30% is what happens post-open in terms of the quality of your follow-up. So one of the things we need to get very, very clear on is there are 3 sales that we need to make at an open and with any property with a buyer. The first thing is we need to sell the buyer the property. What is it about this property? Now, interestingly enough, only 5% of people can see beyond what is there with a property. Most people go in and they look around a property and they see what is actually there. What we want to do is increase the saleability of the property, and that is the art of selling the potential of the property. So what is the potential of this property? Could you go to a second story? Could you knock this wall out over here and turn this into amazing living space? Could you put a deck on the back here and start to really enjoy an outdoor dining experience? What is the potential of the property? So the first one is making sure that you're selling the property and the property's potential. So that means anyone who is viewing the property, you want to see, here's the property and here's the potential of the property. Secondly, you want to make sure that you sell the street. What is it about this particular street that makes this a very attractive street to buy in? In the last 18 months, there have only been 3 sales in this street. There's only been 2 sales. This is only the second property this year that has sold in this particular street or come on the market. Very powerful when you start to put that in perspective. And the third sale is to sell the suburb. What are the facilities? What is it about this particular suburb? What's the average sale price? What's happened to this suburb in the last 5 years, 10 years? And that, once again, is just a brilliant toolkit to have. Now, this is all in the preparation, not in the moment, but you've done this work. You've identified what those particular components are. You might even have some fact sheets around this, but certainly you've got that intrinsically to be able to have a healthy buyer conversation. Now, the exercise I'd like you to do as a team as a result of this particular video is firstly, what does the owner need from this open home? What is the owner looking for? And when you start to bump that down, you get clear on making sure that our open homes deliver that to the owners. Secondly, what does an open home visitor look for? What do they want? So step into their shoes and think, what is it they'd like to know, information they'd like to gain, the experience they'd like to have to really hone that. And obviously the third is, what do you want? What is it that you actually want from a property point of view and from this particular open? When it comes down to it, I've identified 7 key outcomes you need to look for from an open, but still do that exercise. What does the owner need? What does the visitors to the open need? And importantly, what do you want coming out of the open? So the first outcome is you need to present this property to the marketplace in the most effective way. So this is the 3 sales. This is making sure you're selling the potential of the property. The second outcome is to present yourself and your agency in a way to the marketplace that if you do have a potential pipeline seller coming through, they would say, this is the kind of agent that I'd like to have. And even a buyer coming through say, wow, this open home truly stood out in the marketplace. The third, therefore, is to identify hot buyers for this particular property and also identify other hot buyers that you can potentially identify and move to other particular properties. And from there, number 4 is to identify the buyer pool and start to really build your buyer database and the database overall. Plus, you'll have some nosy neighbours turn up and some friends of the owners turn up. So you want to make sure you're utilising those to further build your database. And effectively what this is about, and this is a gleaming flash of the obvious, and that is that most buyers won't buy the property they inquire on. So it's what we do with those buyers after that that make the absolute difference. And then of course is to identify potential sellers in the process. Let's bubble the sellers to the surface and see where the opportunities are there. And then the final point is to make sure that we're actually building our profile in the marketplace. This open home should further develop and position us as the leading agent in this particular marketplace. Very important outcomes for us to have down and achieve from that point of view. So at the end of every open, if you could check that off and say, we've actually marketed the property and presented the property in the marketplace, tick. We've obviously presented ourselves and our agency brilliantly well, tick. We've identified hot buyers for that property, boom, and hot buyers that we can introduce to other properties. We've also identified the other buyers and put them into the buyer pool. We've built our database, we've ensured that we've identified potential sellers, and finally we've built our profile in the marketplace. Fantastic outcomes from an open home point of view. I'd love you to have a brainstorm as a team and say, how well are we doing this right now? And where are the opportunities for us to take our open homes to another level of performance? Is it before, is it during, and is it after? And when you put this all together, you'll have your open homes standing out in the marketplace, making it easier for clients to buy through you and easier for potential sellers to see you in action doing a great job for your clients. Thanks for tuning in.